You have MS? So do I. So why don't you join me for Heal MS Soul Alchemy's first edition, and we'll talk about what this means for us both. So in this video, we're going to answer the who, what, where, when, why, all the conventional things that we need to know about starting this journey together. So first we'll start with who. Who am I? So my name is Dana, and nice to meet anybody out there. Some of you might be familiar with me already from Energy Over Matter, my other channel, where I review general health things and energy medicine. I'll be talking about a lot of those things on this channel as well. But I wanted to talk about my own personal journey with MS. And I don't want that to get lost in the general recommendations, which can be useful for any disease, whether mental or physical, not just MS. But I wanted to connect authentically to the audience and the people who share a similar story to my own. Because I think we can find a lot of comfort, support, and hope in each other's stories. And I hope that that's what I'm going to do here, is inspire you with my story. So in this first episode, I'm not going to go into detail about my diagnosis and my treatments and relapses, although I know a lot of you are going to be interested in that, especially those of you that are newly diagnosed. Because I do remember when I first got diagnosed, it's pretty earth-shattering. It really makes you scared for the future and what it's going to hold for you. And you're really looking for a lot of information about, what does a diagnosis look like? What is my prognosis? What if I got this relapse or this symptom? And how am I likely to recover? What will it look like in 5 years and 10 years? And so I know that a lot of you will want to hear my story. And I really wanted to share my story with you because I think it is a story of hope and renewal and faith. Faith in your own body and faith in what's possible, especially for those of you that have only really been seen by Western medicine, which is a little bit gloomy and pessimistic about the outlook of MS. So I want you to know starting off the bat that I have mostly healed my MS, and I actually believe I'm cured. Now, I know that a lot of you will laugh at that because just like my doctor, I was told over and over that it's not possible to cure MS, but I say bullshit because I asked my doctor in the beginning, can you prevent new lesions? And yes, that was possible. Can you stop old lesions from being active, make them smaller, and potentially go away? Yes, that sometimes happens. Well, there you go. That's a cure. So I think that you can be cured. I think that I already am cured. The problem for me right now is I'm still working my way up regeneration. So, I don't even want to say that it takes long for your nerves to heal because, again, I think that that's a limiting belief that's put on us. It wasn't that long ago that they told us that you can't grow new brain cells, which we know neuroplasticity is a real thing. We know that we can regrow brain cells. Part of the things we'll review in this channel are ways to make that happen and ways to, elevate and accelerate that process. So yeah, I think I did cure my MS, and I want to share with you all the things I did to get there. Now, I don't think it's a one size fits all, so I don't think that everything I say or do is going to be necessarily what helps you. I just want you to keep an open mind about the things we discuss, especially for those of you that might not really understand energy medicine or think that it's woo-hoo or kind of out there, which, I guess I always had a little bit of belief in alternative healing, and I definitely always never trusted the medical system. And a side note, with that being said, if you still are on disease modifying drugs and you want to take that approach to your healing, I am not judging you in any way. As a matter of fact, I absolutely support whatever decision you make. The thing I support the most is for you to be your own advocate, to not just defer to what doctors say to you and not what the authority that tells you they know you better than you, because there is no better advocate, no better healer, and no better intuitive guide than you. You know best for yourself. So as I'm speaking throughout the episodes, whatever I say that resonates with you, run with that and explore it. And anything that falls outside of things I recommend, explore that too. Because the whole purpose now for you with your MS journey is to discover what might have caused and triggered this. And the doctors don't even claim to know either. I have a lot of ideas and opinions on it, but like I said again, I don't think it's the same for everybody. I don't even think MS is the same disease. I think, again, it's just that whatever weak link in our chain, which for us is our nervous system, some kind of a trauma or emotional event that shattered us and dissociated us from our bodies. Something happened, and that's unique for all of us, that triggered this to be the way that our pain and our emotional distress manifested physically. And so when the doctors don't really know what to do, they group a whole bunch of symptoms into one thing and they say, boom, everybody's got that. And here's how all of you can heal equally, which doesn't work. I mean, even diet, I mean, there you can have general recommendations for diet. We all might agree that, high sugar, fast food's not good. But what you're sensitive to, what my body's deficient in, what I need, I mean, that varies widely. So even the things that I say to you on here, self-experimentation, being curious, asking the right questions, that's what this channel is going to be about. I don't have all the answers for you. I'm all still figuring out the answers for myself. And although I've done a lot of studying and self-experimentation, and I've got a lot of now certifications and qualifications in alternative healing, I'm not an expert on your body. And especially giving this format is that I'm just talking about general health things. I don't know your circumstance. I don't know you in particular. So you need to be your own best friend. You ultimately heal yourself. So even when you think that the doctor is the one healing you, they might give you a pill and that pill might have some biochemical reaction in the body. They might put a cast on your broken leg. But at the end of the day, what really heals you is your body's own innate healing ability, right? It is your ability to cell by cell, tissue by tissue, organ by organ, system by system. It's you that heals. And it's you that's going to have to put in the effort too. Because none of the things that I'm going to tell you on here is a quick fix or a miracle. I know energy medicine is something that your energy can change rapidly, right? Just like your emotions. So your emotional state, what's flowing through, the biochemistry of your body as far as like your limbic system making different hormonal responses for things. Well, I mean, that's, okay, kind of rapid. And then your nervous system, which affects MS, that's a little bit more rapid. Energetically, it's even quicker. Like thoughts are boom, they're so fast. I mean, we're having so many of them, we can't even really recognize all the stimulus and things that we're taking in any given moment. Really just the few that we pay attention to, which is what a lot of things we're going to talk about here too. What are you paying attention to? But with that in mind, we are going to just take it in for ourselves, what's best for us, what we think is right for ourselves, and then experiment and just keep asking questions and keep being curious. And please, if anything, stop listening to the doctors telling you doom and gloom and saying that, oh, and they told me in 10 years that I was going to be in a wheelchair. And on my 10-year anniversary, I did a triathlon. Now, I'm actually not suggesting to do triathlons. I'm an A-type personality, and I think part of my MS journey was the need for perfectionism and to achieve constantly because of a lack of self-worth. And as long as I had a goal and I was pursuing something and checking something off the box, I felt like I was valuable and worthwhile. And, I had a list of, credentials after my name and education and all of these achievements. But really on the inside, I still didn't feel very valuable, which is why I was in an abusive relationship and marriage and very poor boundaries, which, probably, instigated and made worse at a minimum my MS. But anyway, the point of that story was not that I think that it's actually good for our bodies to push so far in endurance sports, but the fact that you can use your mind to overcome. And like me, I was very determined in the beginning when they told me that this was incurable and that I was destined for this future. Instead of believing that and just giving up hope, I got kind of angry about it. I was like, yeah, well, that's because you don't know me, because I'm capable of anything. And although I don't want to give you unrealistic expectations, and I don't want you to push yourself too hard, because part of MS is respecting your body and listening. So when it's tired, rest. When you need to recover, do it. When you feel that a person is draining your energy, stay away from them. Like all of those things. I'm not telling you that the answer for you is go run a marathon. What I'm saying to you is that you should be listening to yourself and having hope and faith. I remember actually, I wasn't going to tell this story, but I'll tell it here, that the first energy client that I had, where she was so ill, I had to travel to her house to treat her because she wasn't even capable of doing the 2 stairs into my house. And while I was treating her, she was on her bed and she asked me, how did I start healing? And I didn't answer her for a little while. And she was an old lady, so she kind of gave me the space to just be quiet for a while, because I wanted to give her the right answer. And I had to kind of think about that because nobody had asked me that question. And although I was now actually healing other people, I hadn't really considered that. But when I finally did answer her, it was to say, I had to already have gratitude before I had anything to be grateful for. Now, at my worst moment with my MS, I was blind, bedbound, I was crawling. I needed help to bathe myself, to feed myself. It was a pretty low moment, pretty scary. And At that moment, it's pretty hard to think about why you'd be grateful in life. I'd already suffered so much trauma and so many negative things in my life. And I remember, being really angry actually at God and thinking, if you wanted me to carry this heavy cross, like God lost his firstborn son and I had lost mine too. And if God had already taken my son, how could he not even give me the legs to carry the cross? And I was so angry. And I remember thinking that and being like cursing God kind of on the floor. And it's funny how I actually had never believed in God until I got so sick. And maybe that's when it turns a lot of us that we feel the need that we need to have hope and faith in something. Now, I'm not saying you have to be religious for that either, but having hope in yourself and faith in yourself that you can turn the tide, that you are capable of thinking different thoughts, of making different beliefs, and then subsequent actions based on those thoughts and beliefs and emotions. And it's very capable for you to turn around whatever it was that led you to this disease state, to hitting play on this video right now, to a new future, because it is not written in stone. And I don't believe that MS is a death sentence and that it is a forever we have to worry about. Like I said, I went from being bedbound and on the floor, and 4 years later, I drive again. I can cook for my family again. I can clean the house with some stamina. I can do so many things now that I couldn't do before. Now, is it 100% recovered? No. I mean, I'm not the person that I was before. I still have a hard time holding a pen. I couldn't, go out and walk the entire day. I mean, honestly, after about 20 minutes, I need to sit down and have a break. But I've at least gotten to the point now where life can be lived again with purpose and meaning. But back to the gratitude. When I was laying there on the ground, especially in the throes of that relapse, like the darkest moment, it was, and also because it was getting worse and worse. Like every day I would wake up and it would be, first it started with I just couldn't walk, and then I couldn't hold my trunk up, and then I couldn't use my hands and my arms, and then I couldn't regulate my body temperature, and then I got the MS hug, and then I lost my eyesight, and then it was my bowels, my bladder, and I was thinking honestly I might die, and I had never really taken MS that serious because like I said, you had 10 years, I ran this triathlon because I had always still just mind over matter and pushed myself through and thought, I meditated, I did yoga, I ate decent, I thought. But you know what? I hadn't gotten the piece that was energy medicine, and also really understood that emotions are energy, right? And all those things affect your body. So energy and thoughts and emotions all being the same thing, all trigger physiological responses in the body through your limbic system, through your endocrine system, hormones, like your nervous system. And what happens, unfortunately, with people with MS is we've left those emotions so unchecked for so long, dissociating from our bodies and ignoring our body, that our body eventually screams at us and says, like, I'm going to make you stop. And maybe all those times that even with the MS, if I had listened in the beginning and respected my symptoms and said, wow, maybe being a single mom is hard enough. So maybe I don't need to do HIIT cardio 4 days a week and try to have a perfect body and also, achieve these other goals and get promoted at work still and have the perfect house and still, like, I put so much pressure on myself to achieve all of these things. And maybe that's in a way to prove to myself that, like, I was still worthy, because I think one of the hangups I used to have, and definitely MS made me more compassionate, is I used to think, God, the one thing I never wanted to be was old and useless. And looking back, I'm like, wow, what a terribly judgmental thing to think, even, right? That like somehow that being disabled was making you useless. And so really when I got the MS, I really struggled with that because my internal, like, subconscious and a little bit, I would say, conscious belief was that I was going to be useless now and that nobody was going to help me, because my past experiences really had been that I was on my own to do everything. And part of the journey of my MS has been letting go of some of those fears and accepting that I could ask for help, even from strangers, and that for the most part, people willingly wanted to help me. When people seen I was struggling at the airport with my bag, or when people seen that I was struggling to, walk back from my mailbox, like, people actually have pulled over and said, do you need help? Can I help you? And I know it hurts our pride sometimes, but to actually allow people in and to help you, and even to just not push against the disease so much. I remember, I'll tell you another story. when I first got diagnosed, I loved meditation, and I knew that meditation and mindset was going to be a big part of healing. So I went to a Zen Buddhist temple near me, and I signed up for a meditation course with the monks. And being an 8-type personality, on like the second day, and the guy's not talking, we're just sitting there meditating and being quiet. But he's given us no guidance. He's not even told us what we're really supposed to be doing. And I interrupted everybody's meditation to kind of say to him, look at, like, can we get some instruction on if we're doing it right and what are we supposed to be doing? And he's like, well, what is it that you're looking for? And I was like, well, I have MS and I want to cure it. And he said, well, the first thing is stop trying to cure it and just accept you have it. And I almost got up and walked. I was like, I want my money back. Like, this guy hasn't told us anything. He hasn't instructed us. And now he's just told me that he doesn't even want me to achieve the whole goal that I came here for. And to be honest, even during that course, although he did help me with many insightful things about meditation, which in a meditation video, I'm sure I'll cover them then. I think the most impactful thing looking back, and I didn't learn it then. It took me probably another 10, 12 years to learn it, was to stop trying to overcome the MS, to stop trying to think I didn't have it or to be better than it or to outsmart it or to, outmaneuver the MS, was just to say, oh, well, like, so what? I have MS. And even this video, like, I don't want to talk to you and put my personal business, because I am kind of a private person. I don't want to put my personal business out there just so I can have a victim story and just as entertainment for other people to digest. I actually am only doing this because I really, a heartfelt space, want to help you to navigate this scary and difficult journey with giving you insights of things I've already done, knowing that I'm only a few steps ahead of you probably. I haven't figured everything out, but maybe I've figured out some things that you haven't yet, and I can help you or I can inspire you. So I think that monk, the greatest gift he actually gave me, even though it took a decade to learn, was I don't really try to fight the MS anymore. And so I don't really care now if I'm out and somebody says to me, because you might know this too, until you're actually at the point where I have been before, where I needed a cane, and I still walk with trekking poles sometimes if I go for longer walks with the dog. And when I go out with my kids and we're at Wonderland or like theme parks, whatever, like I have to like navigate the whole way where I can only walk so long, and then I got to sit on the bench for a while. And when people try to push me too hard, or other strangers, because MS can be invisible. A lot of people don't understand that, oh, it was hot today, and as we're walking, my eyesight is getting weaker and my foot drop is getting worse. Well, that's invisible to other people. And I used to just think like, oh my God, just push through it and people wouldn't understand. But now I have no problem speaking up and saying, well, no, because this is why I need to sit down. Can we just sit in the shade for a moment? And even my children, who I thought in the beginning, when these terrible relapses happened, that they might be embarrassed of me, or I might be holding them back, and how I was ruining their childhood. But wow, actually, what a way, and this is why I called this soul alchemy, because what a beautiful way it was for them to get the compassion that I never had until I got really sick. And now, because they love me so much and they seen how much I struggled, my goodness, were my children ever amazing. Like having a teenage boy that in public would see me struggle and take a few steps back and hold his mother's arm and walk with me for support so that I wouldn't have to wobble by myself. Or my daughter knowing that I didn't like to ask for help all the time. So before she would leave for school, she would open all the Tupperware containers, and she would pour multiple glasses of water so that if I dropped the water, there'd be another glass to still have until somebody came home to help me. And honestly, it's going to make me like I didn't want to cry on camera a little bit, but just to see that maybe something I thought in the beginning was so negative, and that I was like, feeling that like I'm going to ruin their lives. And then to know that actually maybe it was a gift. And this isn't even what this video was going to be about, but I'm just going to roll with it. And I actually, after this major relapse happened 4 years ago, both my children separately and my mother all confided to me, not knowing that they had all had this conversation with me, how actually my MS made their life better. And none of them said that in like a derogatory way, that they were wishing I was sick. They all wanted me to be better, and they all loved me and were rallying for me. But both of my kids had mentioned to me that me being sick, because I was homeschooling them, that it allowed me to be way more involved, because previously, as a single mom, I had to rush in the morning, like, hurry up, get dressed, put your shoes, let's get your stuff, let's go. I was always racing to get them. And then I get them to daycare. Then I go work for my 10-hour day. And then I come back and get them. And then hurry, we got to go to brownies. And then we have scouts and swimming lessons. We're eating in the car, changing outfits from one thing to another. By the time we got home and it's bath and bed, like, I never spent any quality time with them. But I was checking the boxes, right? I was being a good mom. My kids were doing all the sports and all the activities, and I felt like I was achieving things, but in the end of the day, what was I really giving my kids? Me getting sick and life telling me again, my body saying, stop, like, you're doing way too much, to sit down, I'm couching you. That actually gave my kids a moment for them to actually be with me. And the conversations were long and they were heartfelt. And we talked about our feelings and our emotions openly now, because I had a lot of emotions now. And I wanted them to be able to talk about the emotions they were having, seeing me so sick. Like, particularly my daughter, um, at least my son just would go to his room and play video games. And so he would kind of ignore what was happening, if maybe as a coping mechanism. But my daughter, at the age she was always just kind of in the background, and I could always see her there. Every time I couldn't get up off the floor and someone had to help me into bed, she was never there, but she was in the back of the doorway, and she was outside the bathroom door when I was getting enemas because I couldn't use the washroom. And she was always just there and watching. And I was thinking, man, she must be so scared and so distressed. She's so young. But man, she became so compassionate and so sweet. And then she learned a story about resilience. And when they watched me not give up and do all of these things to get here to this moment talking to you, I hope that they now not only have got compassion, but they understand how no matter what happens to them, that they're so tough and so strong, and that all things are possible. So sorry for that tangent on that, but that one felt like it needed to just kind of come out. So anyway, I guess that's who I am. And how did I get better? Just for a quick synopsis, because each one of these topics we'll review like in different videos separately. But I started with a little bit with the mindset, because I always had done yoga and meditation, and so I knew that I had to be positive about the MS. Although I would say a little bit in the beginning that it was kind of like toxic positivity, where I just kept thinking I could think my way out of it, which maybe isn't true, because sometimes you got to feel the emotions too before you can release them. Right? Sometimes you got to cry too. You can't just always be positive. You got to let it flow. The trick is you just don't get stuck, right? You got to just be open. When the moment like it just happened, if the moment to cry cries, that's okay. Just don't hang on to it, right? It's just fleeting, and you let the emotion in, you let it out, and then be okay to laugh again 2 seconds later, even if it makes you seem crazy. So I think the meditation probably was the first thing I was doing, but again, I wasn't really meditating fully, right? Like, I was meditating on the subway downtown Toronto, where it's busy. And is it beneficial for your heart rate? For sure. For your blood pressure, for, your anxiety? Absolutely. But as far as real transformative healing, I think you got to go a little deeper with the meditation, and we'll review that separately. But then I did what I thought was conventional, right? In the beginning, I was doing allopathic medicine and doing the disease modifying drugs. And I did do that until I got all the side effects with it, right? Like chronic infections and cancer risks and all of the things that result from not having an immune system. So yes, it was helping with the relapses, because my MS is quite aggressive, but it was doing all these terrible things. And I thought, you don't heal by poisoning yourself. And I always knew that, but I kind of understood that when the house is on fire, you don't worry about the plumbing, you put the fire out. And so the disease modifying drugs at the time was putting the fire out, but I knew I had to dig deeper to get to the real root cause, which wasn't a shortage of drugs, right? Like, that wasn't my problem. My problem was something in my body was causing my body to attack itself. And when you just really think about that at a fundamental level, why would your body attack itself? Right? And I can think of all the times in my life where I really struggled emotionally, or had major traumas, and there's a lot of them. I think I did really hate my body, and I didn't trust my body, and I always felt like I was weak. I was the weak child in the family. I'm the one that always had ear infections and was at the hospital, and I had a vagal nerve issue as a child, born with a dysregulated nervous system. And I'll talk about even that, because that's pretty crazy, even to begin with, being born already dysregulated. And then, suffering with lots of health issues over my life that kind of followed me, accumulating in MS in my 20s during my second pregnancy. And So yeah, I think then afterwards I started doing like what you would think is the next good thing, like the biochemical and mechanical level. So I was doing a lot of training and physiotherapy and following the diets, and I got some success with that. Like definitely to we are a physical body, so we need to heal at a physical level, right? Because it is mandatory that we have proper nutrition, hydration, right? We need to make sure we get enough sunlight in our life, right? We have to do all of these things, right? If we don't move, we die. So we have to keep our bodies moving. So exercise is important, but it only took me so far. And it was when another story for another time, but when I first found PEMF or pulse magnetic field therapy, it was like the lights turned back on. I was completely blind almost on the way there, unable to make eye contact with people 2 feet away from me. And on the drive home, I could see the white clouds on the blue sky, and I could read the traffic lights and see, read the street signs. And oh, I was just amazed. And I was like, this is the answer. And I knew that's what was missing. I didn't have enough energy in my body to even initiate the healing process. Like, and that's maybe where you are too, is your body with MS. It's one of the major symptoms that makes people go on disability. We get tired. And I know what that fatigue is like, that even once I could stand up again, to try to decide in the day, am I going to sweep the floor or might I cook dinner? But I couldn't do both, right? Like you have to decide. And even sweeping the floor, I could sweep part of it, but I would have to sit down part way and let my energy, the mitochondria and the ATP, try to restore a little bit. I'd stand up, do another 10 minutes and sit down. But, just that one activity that could tax me and I might need a nap now. And that's the rest of my day. And happy to say, though, because this is why I want you to know that you should subscribe to this channel and keep following the story, is, I'm so much better now, right? Like I can drive a car again, I can cook dinner and sweep the floor and get things done during the day. And it's not perfect. Like I'm stuck on regeneration. So as much as I think I've cured my MS, because I'm not worried about more relapses or going backwards anymore, because I've really worked at a lot of the root cause of what could be causing the disease. Plus, I also know if a relapse happened, that it won't emotionally rock me anymore. That I'm really just a radical acceptance and radical truth about the MS. I have MS, and there might be some things that I never do again. Like, but honestly, even if I could, I would never run a triathlon again anyway. But I can walk with the dog now, right? I can go for a hike, and it might not be an all day hike like I used to up and down hills. It has to be flat terrain, and it might only be 20 minutes. But you know what? That's still a life worth living, and it's still a good life, and I'm okay with that. And even if it never improves more than that, and even for you too, like I mean, if you were as sick as I was, or you're right now in a wheelchair, the idea that you could get up and walk for 20 minutes is miraculous. And I know that you'll be happy with that. So even if we didn't get all the way in our healing journey together, any improvement that's going to make the quality of your life better is amazing. And I want to help you with that. So what else where is this channel right now? So Heal MS Soul Alchemy is where I'm going to talk about my personal MS journey and the things for healing. But outside of this channel, I do have a website, energyovermatter.com, and also another YouTube channel, Energy Over Matter. And I encourage you to go to that channel and subscribe as well, and also visit me at my website, because you'll find lots more information there, and also other energy healing services. So a lot of the things I talk about, some of them can only be done in person. So YouTube isn't a great place for that, because a lot of you are not going to be local to me. But some of the services can be done online. And even if their services that you're looking for can't be something that I can help you with, I am absolutely willing to help you find somebody in your area. I also have a couple companies that I work with that I trust, and I've already done the research. So you can order products and you can order some of these things to use in home for yourself, and I can help you facilitate that. And even if you ever just want to reach out to me, and it has nothing to do with buying a service or buying a product, I welcome that too. Because really, the whole reason I started this business is not as a revenue, because it hasn't really been that big of a revenue source. This is a passion project for me. On the darkest moment when I was laying on the floor and I was crawling, I remember saying to God, like, if He could just help me, please find the solution, right? For what is the thing that's going to help me, that I promised that I would deliver that and help at least one other one other person. And I have made good on that. And I have done that. I've helped quite a few people now. And I want you to be the next one too. And it doesn't matter how that help comes. It could be just by listening to something I said on this video. It could be because I referred you to somebody else to see. It could be because I triggered something in you that led you on a whole different tangent that's not even something I talked to you about. Or it's just because I believe that you can heal, and hopefully that touches you in some way. And you know that generally right through this, that like, I love you and I want the best for you. And that's a genuine feeling of care, because I hated this saying all during COVID when they said we're in this together, but we actually are all this in together, because one of the things you learn in yoga is you're not separate. None of us are separate. We are all part of a unified field. We're all part of the same source. So my pain is your pain is my pain. And the same goes for healing. Any healing that I do is going to translate to your healing, and any way I can help you heal helps my healing. Like the human consciousness that we all share through the morphic field, we can work to heal each other. And I have an absolute vested interest and care and genuine concern for your well-being, and I want you to heal. So what else did I want to review in this? So who I am, where we're doing it, what we're doing, how we're doing it. So again, some of the how is, in case some of you don't know about energy medicine, I actually practice something called Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is about pairing the conscious mind and the subconscious mind together. Because a lot of times we go to do something like a New Year's resolution. We want to lose 10 pounds. We want to quit smoking. And the conscious part of our mind says, okay, I want that thing. But yet we self-sabotage ourselves. And why is that, right? We sabotage ourselves because we underneath in the subconscious, which makes up the majority of our mind, we have like limiting beliefs, and we have things that we think about ourselves that aren't true. And, I don't want to blame you for your MS. I want nobody to think about blame here or shame, because that's definitely not going to be conducive to healing. But there is a little part of us that created the mindset of sickness. And in this channel, we're going to work together to create a mindset of wellness, because they'll look different. And the mindset that got you sick, if you keep that mindset, you'll continue to be sick. What we want to do is we want to elevate that and give new resources and new options and new ways of thinking. We want to reframe our perspective on life, because millions of pieces of information filter into our mind every second, but we're only capable of holding on to 5, 6 or whatever small amount of them. So which ones do we pick to focus on makes our reality. So if you're always focusing on the limits of your disease and the label of your disease and the prognosis of the disease, and then you're acting on the emotions and the belief patterns of the things that happen to you in your life already up to this point, you're never really going to break out of the pattern. So this is why we use things like meditation and mindset and affirmations and changing our emotional belief, and really getting in and really becoming self-aware as to like what happened to us in our life before. And sometimes you can't really, a lot of it happens when we're under 7, when we're in theta wave, and we're still really receptive to the authority of everybody around us. And when you're a little kid, what makes that scary is, okay, say you have a narcissistic parent or an abusive parent, or just even like an addict as your parent. And as a little child, you're experiencing this parent who's incapable of taking care of you. And you have really 2 ways to view that. You can either, as this little child, say, well, the adults around me aren't capable of caring for me, so therefore I'm alone. Now, no child is really capable of that, because how could you be alone? You can't feed yourself, you can't care for yourself, you can't house yourself, you can't do anything for yourself. So the alternative is that for children, we tend to believe that, well, it's not the adult's problem, it's our fault. It's something we've done that makes us unworthy of their care, love, or whatever it is that we're not receiving in the relationship or the abuse we're getting. And so that belief you carry from a child, and it follows with you forever. And, I myself grew up to be what I thought was a confident person. I was very A-type personality, and I had a lot of designations and, credentials after my name, and I was checking the boxes, and I was doing so many things that was overachieving that I thought I was confident. But, really looking back, those things maybe were external ways to validate myself, because on the inside, I really didn't feel worthwhile, because I felt like nobody had like loved or protected me because they were involved in their own things. And then I end up marrying somebody who very much the same way, another addict who isn't going to support me, who's abusive, who's narcissistic, and is only interested in their own needs. So my needs are always pushed away. And my job is to care for other people. My needs are never met. And then you start to think about, well, why would you develop MS? Okay, so your body maybe, for many emotional reasons is screaming out for help, wanting somebody to care for you. And maybe as a way to say, well, now I'm so ill, I actually require care. Who's going to care for me? Right? And I'm not saying that those are things you might intentionally think or that you want or you will in any way. Because, I can't think of a person who would possibly want to have MS. Not on a conscious level, but there are always underlying things that have happened to us, trauma, grief, and emotions that lead our body to have these emotional responses, which actually then manifest in physical symptoms. And part of healing is being willing to dive deep into what those are. And knowing now that even if those things dissociated you and shattered you when you were younger because you weren't capable of healing from them and accepting what was happening, that's not true anymore, right? Like, you're an adult now and you've experienced so many more things in your life and you've overcome. The fact that you're even here now pressing play on this video says you still have hope in your future and you're still doing things for yourself. Right? And thank you for doing that. Things for yourself that say that you care about yourself, that you love yourself, you're showing up for yourself, and that you can help yourself. And so that adult you are now that has all those resources can absolutely go back and handle any of the things that you weren't capable of handling when the trauma happened when you were younger. Right? And that's another part of neuro-linguistic programming, right? Is being able to go in your timeline back and, speaking to and helping that other part of yourself. Now, hypnosis is a big part of that too. So I also do hypnosis, and we'll talk about that in here, because sometimes you can't remember, right, what happens to you when you're younger. Like, I know that I had a vagal dysfunction as a child, but I can't remember what happened to me. And when I talk to my parents, everybody says, oh, it was fine, like, it's okay. And I have no reason to believe otherwise. That, like, I do remember some traumatic things, and I'll talk about those in other episodes, but I don't know if they were big enough that it would have caused how dysfunctional it already was. And nobody will tell me otherwise. So, when you go do something like hypnosis and you go back, and it's not even to regress to talk about the bad problems, because I don't even know if you want to remember them. If they were that bad, do you really want to actually remember them? Maybe not. But going back there just to access your subconscious mind, to reprogram it for positive thoughts and positive resources that you can take into the current moment with you to help yourself is amazing. And we definitely want to do that. Okay, so that's just the mind, right? We want to have a good mindset. We want to be able to process emotions. We want to be able to, accept what's going on, and not fight against don't believe the label, but also don't like fight constantly against it. Just, it is what it is, and we're just going to move forward with positive things we can do for ourselves. And then the energy medicine part of it, right? So we want to be able to detect what is actually wrong in the system. Now, there's lots of ways to do that. I do biofield tuning, which is, when you're doing tuning forks, you can feel in the body field where there is like a difference in the quality of the sound and the vibration. And again, like going back to when you're young, you don't have to know what it was that happened in order to heal it. All you got to do is just tune the body like an instrument. You're just tuning the field to put the vibration back where it needs to be. Also through bioresonance scans. So you can be looking at where on the meridian is something stuck, or what emotion is triggered, what organ maybe needs support. And I know you think with MS, well, it's going to just be your nervous system. Okay, so your nervous system is what's showing symptomatic right now, but it might not have been the first place that went out of tune. And it might not be what your body wants to work to heal on first. So I like this kind of tech stuff because it gives us a way to look inside the energy system. So we know what is a priority. What do we want to start working on first? And then we start adding back in corrective information. So not only do we want to put energy back into the body so it can initiate self-healing, but we want to make sure that the information field is correct. So again, then the information field, again, I want you to remember it's not just physical. right? It's energetic, it's thoughts, it's emotion, it's all of it. So we have to worry about, like, even energy. Food is energy, right? It is also a little piece of information, right? We put it in our body. We have enzymes and we have things that break it down, and different molecules break up, and that goes into our liver, and it makes new things that go into the body. It's all a communication system. So even food and the quality of the food we're eating is communication. It is energy. It is information. So it's going to be, this channel is a whole paradigm shift for some of you. Or any of you that know already about energy medicine, it's just going to be just diving deeper into these topics for you. But those of you that don't really know about energy medicine, it's going to teach you a whole new way to look at how you interact with the world, and not just at the physical level. Because the physical level, although yes, we are in a body, we do live in a three-dimensional world of space and time. We're governed by those Newtonian things. We also need to go above that and, like, look at somebody like Tesla, who tells us if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Really, at the end of all of it, even though we are that pranic energy condensed into a physical body, we are more than that. We are also the energy, and we're also the information field that is telling that energy to condense into the body. So when we're treating MS, we're no longer going to look at this just from a pharmaceutical point of view. Now, if you continue to take your pharmacy meds, that's fine. Do whatever you, again, like whatever. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not recommending that you stop taking meds or any other medical treatment. Everything you do what is best for you, and you discuss that with any other team members you have working with you for your condition. With that being said, this channel, what we're going to review are things that are outside of just physical reality, because I believe that the physical reality only manifests from the energetic and thought fields, right? And which is why I think that the neuro-linguistic programming and mindset really is one of the first places. And gratitude, like what I'm going back to, because what is gratitude? Gratitude is a belief and a way of living and a way of thinking. And I do believe that gratitude is the most important thing that you can change. If there's one thing right now today that you go home and you start practicing, is gratitude. And I don't care how sick you are right now, there is a reason to be grateful. Okay, and whether that is because you were capable of still hearing, so even if you were blind and you can't see me saying this, and even if you can't implement, maybe your hands don't work and you can't search my website, that's okay, because you're listening right now. And there was a point where all I did was listen to podcasts as well too. And then be grateful for that. That's at least be grateful that you're inside somewhere right now with electricity, that you can listen to this. That's something to be grateful for, right? Or any other smaller things. Like, I mean, maybe you don't have a big circle of influence and friends and support, but there's probably at least one person still that's there for you, somebody that's helping you. You know, be grateful for them, and be grateful for yourself. Be grateful for the fact that you're showing up for yourself again today. Like, thank yourself just for that you have another day, that the sun rose again today. Even if it's raining, maybe it's sunny actually here where I am, and it's getting warm for spring, which is amazing. I'm grateful for that too. But just be grateful that another day came and that you're breathing. Because as long as you can breathe, then you can do all of the things that I'm going to talk about. You can meditate if you can breathe. You can do yoga if you can breathe, right? Maybe you can't put yourself into tree pose because you can't balance. Maybe you can't even get up off the floor, but there's lots of yoga poses you can do on the floor. And as a matter of fact, when I started my healing journey after this 4-year relapse, I used to have to use my arms to put my legs into poses on the floor. And so what? That's where I was. And eventually I did that for long enough, and I was grateful for it, and I was happy about it, and I was positive about every little thing that happened, that I got better. And I mean, I still don't do balance poses effectively. I need I need to touch a wall to balance still. But again, so what? I still teach yoga now, and I teach sound bath. And one of those things about radical acceptance and about having compassion, about not judging yourself. You know what? I was so worried the first time I taught a yoga class. I was like, I'm such an imposter. I'm such a fake. Like, who is possibly going to do my yoga class? And who's ever going to want to learn from me if I can't even balance, right? If the student has already outdone the teacher. But as I started to teach those classes, and I started to discuss with people, if they would say, oh, do you need help? Are you okay? Did you just injure yourself? And I would say, no, I have a balance disorder. I have MS. You know what? Not one person left class. Not one person cared. I had so much still to teach because I was so in tune with the real teachings of yoga. And part of the teachings of yoga is about dissolving your ego. And what better way to dissolve your ego than to stand up as a yoga teacher and have every student be more capable than you? Okay, but I still had a lot to teach, and the students that were there understood that I had so much value still because I had dissolved my ego, and that I had all this compassion and unity and care and love for them, and that it was genuine, and that I also had really, because I was so sick for so long, I really understood what meditation was now, and yoga really is meditation, because there was a lot of time where I couldn't even hold the phone to press play on a video or a song, right? So literally all I did was sit with my elderly dog who also had cancer and was dying, and the two of us would sit all day and we would just listen to the birds. And after I stopped listening to the birds, I started hearing crickets. And then I could drop down that quickly and just I could hear crickets. And then I could start to hear the electrical hum of buildings near me. And then eventually I got down to where I could hear the actual like om of the earth. And I'll tell you, all the years I meditated before, and I did meditate daily, like I said before, but I never really understood that real stillness until life forced me. So again, then even you want to talk about gratitude, maybe this MS relapse and maybe MS was actually a gift, right? And I do think it's a gift. And I know you might not be in a place right now and you might be getting a little like cursing me, like, what do you mean this is a gift? Like, I hate this MS. All I want to do is solve it and fix it. It's terrible. But I bet you that once you come on the other side and you start to heal, that you will absolutely look back and you'll actually be thankful for the lessons that your MS taught you, because it has a ton of lessons that it's teaching you. But you have to be receptive to those lessons. You have to be willing to take them in and to learn them. And you have to be willing to listen to what they really are and then act on them, and to evolve so that the next time around you don't end up relapsing again. Because every time, and whether it's MS or it's even like, say, like having bad parents and then picking a partner like your parents and then you divorce that one, you get another one. Like anytime we repeat these patterns, that's just life giving you an opportunity again to come back and fix the thing you didn't learn, right? It's presenting it with you again and saying, look, you didn't quite get it the first time, so I'm giving it to you again. This time, try again. And instead of just karma having to take you to a whole nother life and coming back into another life to learn the same lesson, you have a chance in this lifetime to learn this lesson, right? And so MS is a gift because it is teaching you something. And I hope that you can start to see it as that, because you're going to develop a way different relationship with this disease if you're not trying to fight it, suppress it, and hate it. You just accept it as part of you. Is that this is whenever your body is speaking, your body only knows how to speak in physical sensations, right? Your mind speaks in words and symbols and language, right? But your body speaks in emotions and physical sensation. Okay, so the physical sensations your body are giving you right now is you are disconnected. You're numb in your hand. You don't have strength. You can't feel your muscle. You have no proprietal perception. You don't know where you are in space. You literally can't see. It is saying that you are dissociated from reality around you, that you don't feel safe in the world around you, and so you've pulled inside of your own mind. So, part of the journey we're going to do together is listening to our body and respecting our body as a valuable and wise partner. Like every cell in your body contains all of the same information as the entire universe. Like as above, so below. We are part of everything. We're all part of the same thing. So why are we ignoring our body? And why did we ignore it for so long until it got into such a disease state where the body now is so disconnected from us? Because the nervous system is the thing that it's the bridge between our mind processing the information and our body taking it in, and then the action from our mind. That nervous system is disrupted now because we've become so off track. So in this journey together, we're going to start figuring out, how did we get off track? And how do we bring ourselves back into the body so that we feel safe? And how do we start allowing room for both the emotions, the thoughts, and the body to exist with our soul, which is the soul alchemy. That's the whole point of this. We're going to heal our MS through alchemizing, which is, changing one thing into another, right? So our pain and our suffering is going to turn into the gift, right? It's going to make us compassionate. It's going to help. And the wounded healer is a journey a lot of us go on. And the fact that you're so wounded right now, if you have MS, you've been wounded. And there's probably many other wounds that led up to the MS, because in my mind, they're related. We're not born with MS, right? We're born healthy, and then something in our life accumulates over time And it leads to this dis-ease in our body, which means that we can unpack that disease and go back to a state of healing. And that's why you got to partner with your body and trust in your body again, because your body can heal itself. You just have to give the right environment for healing, which is going to take effort on your part. It's going to mean that you're going to do the work on your mind. You're going to do the work on your emotions. You're going to do the work on your resultant actions, which means you're actually going to eat the healthy food. You're actually going to not smoke cigarettes, right? You're not going to drink the alcohol, because those things, like as much as I'm talking about energy medicine, rest assured that I'm going to be giving you all of those concrete, real actionable things, because I had to give up smoking and drinking too. And I gave up sugar, and I gave up gluten, and I gave up dairy. I did all of the things required to get to this point. And it's not just one thing. It's actually an order of operation. You need to do all of them. I just believe that you don't start on the chemical level. I think you got to start on the information. And once you get that right, the other things, not only do they fall into place easier, but they're more effective too. Because when you try to go the opposite direction, it's not that effective, because you can't really do the exercise if you don't have the energy. And the energy doesn't stay in the body if you keep dissipating it with negative thoughts, right? Like I treat people with energy medicine a lot. And when they leave me, I'm like, okay, so I just gave you all of these negative ions into your body. I charged the voltage of your cell. You're leaving here, I've tuned your biofield. But if you get into traffic and you get stressed out and you stop at McDonald's on the way back, and then you go home and you start fighting with your spouse immediately, well, I mean, what did you do with the energy that you were given? So that's why I think it's more efficient and effective if you start first trying to get your thoughts in order. So start just by being grateful, right? And a little bit by little bit, we work on our mindset, and then we come down to like, let's work on the energy, because the energy is better able to hold when you have good thoughts. And then once we put the energy in, okay, what are you going to do with those energies? Now we have good thoughts, we have good energy to take good actions in our life that are meaningful and effective. Okay, I feel like this one was longer than I wanted it to be for an introductory video. So I just want you to know, please subscribe. Please also consider subscribing to Energy Over Matter if you want to already get meditations and you already want to look into some of these alternative healing things, because tons of videos are already on that channel to get you started with getting some more information. But this channel in specific is just going to be this, me to you, my own journey, my own personal story. And, I hope to really be authentic with you and to be vulnerable, because I am living this with you and I do understand what it's like to be on the other side, but there is hope. So follow me and learn from me. Hopefully I can inspire you and we can all heal together. And like I said, again, leave some comments down in the notes underneath. I will respond to you, and you can also get my email from my website, energyovermatter.com. I have a phone number there too. You can reach out to me if you ever just want to chat, or you ever want just a one-on-one guidance or to book a session. I'd like to help you too. But otherwise, I'll be back with the next session where we'll start to actually get into one topic at a time and really get you going on what you can do to start healing yourself. So with all the love, have a blessed day and a blessed life. Namaste.